Alas, Edgar Lungu was not buried again. Instead, a second funeral service was held in South Africa without a coffin or a body. And the speech that everyone was talking about after, Makebi Zulu's. I've got thoughts and I'm going to break it down in this video.
You may wish to know, or most of you are aware, that sometime in 2023, President Edgar Lungu came back into active politics, upon which the government announced that all his entitlements were taken away.
Just to be clear, this is in accordance with the Zambian law. If a former president comes back into politics, he loses his benefits. Okay, there are certain benefits, retirement benefits that are there. There's a whole video about it. I'll try and link it in the description or in the comments below. So yeah.
But prior to that, you may wish to know that he would come to South Africa for his medicals, as some of his doctors were based here.
Also, yes, I think I've heard of a couple of times of the former president going to South Africa for medical treatment. And by the way, this happens with a lot of presidents. They go to other countries. The most common reason they say is that there's no specialist in my country for this problem that I'm facing. But one of the things that we have heard is that some leaders do this because they don't want people in their country to know how weak or how sick they are. So, for example, if people find out that he's in, for example, minor soko, and the information leaks that he's got this condition and it's terminal, they would rather not have that, or perhaps risking a medical personnel poisoning them. So those are some of the reasons. Okay.
After his presidency, and whilst he was enjoying his benefits, he requested to be brought or to come to South Africa for his medicals, and the state refused to grant him that opportunity to come for his medicals.
He's saying that the state stopped him from getting medical help in South Africa, that he made a request to travel and he was not granted that request to travel to South Africa for medical help. Now, I have to let you know that actually the state, during a press briefing where Makebi was actually, said that they did not, never at any time stop him from traveling. They said that they were in communication with his doctor, and his doctor only requested for travel, which was granted. And then when they offered to help, like in financial ways, to assist to support his medical care, the doctor declined and said, no, we just wanted to be given free passage. So the secretary to the cabinet said this while they were together on the same press briefing. I would expect Makebi to say, no, that's not true. I have proof otherwise during that period. And also, let me add that the secretary to the the secretary to the cabinet actually said he had it on record, he has proof, and Makebi is saying no, they don't. But none of them has produced proof, so it is yet to be seen who is telling the truth and who is lying.
At one time we had a speaking event in South Korea, right at the airport, after having checked in his luggage, after he checked in as well, that he was off boarded the plane, his luggage taken out, and he was told to go back home.
There are some things I'm not going to comment about, and it's really because I don't know. I don't know what the case with the South Korea thing is. It's not because I don't have a say. I really don't know about this. Okay, not that it didn't happen. If you know something about it, please give me some information in the comments. Okay.
Without being given a reason. Most of you may be aware that on several occasions, when he engaged in exercises to keep himself fit, the government termed it as political jogging and stopped him.
Political jogging.
When he was invited in Dola for a church service, there was a battalion, all the police stopping him from attending the church service.
Okay, let me see.
He took a walk in town. That was problematic.
Okay, so they're basically saying whenever he went out jogging, or he wanted to go to church, or he wanted to do this and that, he was stopped because they said it was political jogging or this and that. Now, I'm not speaking for the state here, or neither am I speaking for Lungu here. I'm just sharing my opinion. Sometimes when someone is a public figure, wherever they go, they attract a lot of attention. Okay, when you are a public figure, whether you are Davido, let's just say, I mean, this was the president of Zambia, but let's say Davido. Okay, you are Davido, you come to Lusaka and you walk in the streets of Lusaka. Of course you're going to cause a standstill. Of course traffic is going to stop. Of course some crimes, petty crimes, thieves and what have you, confusion is going to be caused. Okay, so yes, it is a risk, and sometimes because you are a public figure, for your own protection and also for other people around you, it is good to inform the public where you're going. So when you reach a certain level of fame or importance in a society, you can't just move freely. This is what I think about this. It was maybe being seen as a political campaign. Maybe it was disrupting the community wherever he was going, and not intentionally. I don't think somebody goes and says, I'm going to just disrupt every place. But as you are walking, if 1,000 people are walking with you, guess what? That's a disruption in wherever you're going. That's, you know what I mean? That is a disruption, and you should definitely be seeking uh, assistance with the police to secure not only yourself but other people around you. My thoughts. Okay, I don't know if this is the reason that the ruling government gave, but this is what I think. Okay.
When his wife appeared before the Drug Enforcement Commission with him, and she was asked where the property that she had came from, she pointed at him and said, he built this for me and is here to explain. Let him explain. At that very event, GSO was there. She was asked how she built the property. She pointed at him and said, here it is, he can explain. When Uncle Charles Perry was asked who built the property that he had, she pointed at him and said, here it is, he can explain. When Tarsila was asked where she got her property from, she said, my father got this for me.
Okay, this story I don't think really helps their case. Okay, so he says when Tarsila was found with property which possibly she could not afford, because Dek is asking her, where did you get this from? And she says, I got it from my father. The other daughter, same thing. She says, I got it from my father. And uncle says, I got it from this man. All of them are pointing to the man with immunity. The wife, I got it from this man. So everyone is pointing to the man with immunity, that they got whatever they got from him. Okay. If we were to call a spade, this does not look good. If anything, it looks like corruption. It was like, okay, this is our umbrella, this is our protection. When he's saying, guys, if you are lawyers, if you know the legal blah blah blah, if a person with immunity, if someone points at a person with immunity and says they're the ones that gave me this property, can you then question the person with immunity? Because it sounds like a lot of people are saying he gave me, but are you able to call the person for questioning? Because he's saying you can ask him, but were they able to ask him considering he had immunity? I don't think this story was a good story to tell Makebi at that funeral, because it doesn't sound good, it doesn't taste good. I mean, you have a lot of sympathizers, but really it doesn't taste good at all. Okay.
This is not a victory for the government, it's a victory for the Lungu family. President Edgar will not touch dust until this truth is told.
This is not a victory for the government. This is a victory for the Lungu family. How? How? The family has lost a father. How is this a victory for the Lungu family? I don't really understand where because the story gets to be told. The story could have been told with him alive. How is this victory? I don't see it. You know, I find this is the problem that I've been finding is that people are seeing this like it's a score. Maybe it is in some people's minds, like a s- a battle or a game where this one is scoring a game, this one is scoring a game. No, as far as I know, someone has died, so there's no victory for anybody. Okay, I don't know. The only victory in death is if you find yourself in heaven. That's the only victory. But I don't understand how the Lungu family is victorious at the Lungu funeral, especially that they can't bury. Who's taking this score? Why are you taking scores? It's very sad that, it's all about settling scores. Victory. What victory? When you have lost your leader, your father, there's no victory there. How can you even look at it as a victory?
For those of you that betrayed him in his lifetime, you dare not betray him in his death. Most of you ran away from him. Most of you couldn't speak for him. And now you come to the family and say, let's repatriate his meetings.
I think he was more than able to speak on his own behalf, and he had a team. He had people that he was working with that could speak on his behalf. So, and not all of us had access to him or knew his problems. Some of these things we're only hearing them about them now. Like, for example, I mentioned the Korea thing. I didn't even know there was an issue about Korea.
Don't you have the muscle to just say one word for Edgar? That he was an honest man who sought for the good of his family. You may wish to know that even when Mama Esther Lungu appeared in court and said, I have a witness over these properties, whom I want to call to testify that he bailed for me, he would tell you where he got the money from. The court said no, and gave a judgment that you would lose your property.
This is interesting. I'll look into this. And if you have any information about this, please let me know. He's saying that she wanted to bring in a witness. I'm not sure if he means Edgar Lungu was supposed to be the witness, but apparently there was supposed to be a witness, but the judge made a ruling without anything. Please, facts. If you are, don't just comment anything. I'm a facts. I'm a facts. We want to get to the bottom of this.
In all this, when Edgar Lungu was stopped from jogging, did you speak for him?
And I don't think he was entirely stopped from jogging. I think maybe I could be wrong. I think he may have been stopped from jogging in public to stop crowds gathering around him. Okay. And I think if he went to the gym, he was going to manage. Or if he jogged in the yard, because my yard ni yakuru these days, especially Yawachinondo. I think if he jogged in the yard or he went to the gym, I really suspect he would have been allowed to do that. But yeah, let's continue.
When he was stopped from going to church, did you speak for him? When his
So
family was
again, Makebi mentioned he was stopped from going to a particular church, not church in general. Let me know if completely he was stopped from any church, his own church, because from what he said, he went to a church in Kitwe and he was stopped from attending that church. I'm not saying it was right, okay, but I don't think he was stopped entirely from attending a church, like maybe his own church frequently on Sundays. I find that hard to believe, but I'm not saying it's right, okay?
when his family was being dragged about, did you speak for him?
No, we didn't speak for when his family was being taken in court because we know if people call you to court for whatever the issue, you have to go and prove yourself right or wrong. Makebi, as a lawyer, what do you expect people to do if not to wait for the courts to decide? Okay?
When his wife appeared in court, did you speak for him? And now you're telling the family it is for the good of the nation. Where was the nation when all this was happening?
It's a very strong statement. Where were you, Zambia, when he was doing all this, when all these things were happening to him? Why should you talk about repatriation when you didn't talk about his cases? Who are you to talk about him and repatriation? when you didn't talk about his wife going to court or him jogging or him going to a church in Kitwe? Where were you? So basically, because we didn't speak against Madam Lungu being taken to court, against Edgar Lungu running, jogging in public, against all these things that are seen to be, all these things that are said to be injustices that happened to him. So I guess we don't deserve to say anything about repatriation.
But then, in this particular case, you may wonder, what is this obsession that is going on about Edgar and his body? Perhaps it's the same obsession that they had about the body of Christ. And those that fabricated the story to say,
I want to laugh because, whoa, did you just compare Edgar Lungu to Christ? Edgar Lungu to Christ. Like, guys, I know you want.
today a strange question was asked by the judge. And the question was, suppose the current president wants to see the body. The question was unprovoked.
Yeah, actually, I have to agree with him. That was a very strange question for the judge to ask. Um, but you have to understand that there have been rumors that this man is not dead. Therefore, people expected that at least you should have body viewing at his funeral. But the fact that even there they were you did not plan to do that, that was very strange. We can understand, yeah, you had this bad relationship with Hakainde Hichilema. You didn't want him to even do the body viewing and all this kind of thing, but what your own selected people, because I heard, from what I heard, it's like it was strictly by invitation. So if you are strictly inviting people, then you must trust them, right? And it's not like he died in an accident where it's like his body got mangled. It was in a routine operation.
And we have made it clear in the order that only the family will have access to the body. The state made an application before.
I mean, but I feel like this would be the best place to settle all this different information that we are getting. A negotiation is never final, especially if you're dealing with a go-between, an envoy. You can just basically explain your side, why it's so important to you, and try to convince them to buy into your side. And buy into your side. Let's just leave it there.
It was made abundantly clear that the wish of President Edgar was that he should not be anywhere near his body. That was agreed. When they gave us a program, even after having stated that when the body reaches Lusaka, the body will be received by the family, he'll be given the necessary kind of honor and taken to Chifuema. What came back after the consultation is that the body will go to Lungu Conference Center, the family will be received by President Hakainde Hichilema, and President Hakainde Hichilema will proceed to view the body and lay it with.
Okay, I agree that that was a strange change of events, okay? But when I saw the video, okay, Makebi listed two things. He listed first the list of the things that they wanted, and then the list of the things that they agreed upon. That nowhere near the body was not in that list. After that, the secretary to the cabinet, I think he just had two items on his list. One of them was that the president will be presiding over the funeral. However, in that press briefing that they gave us, they did not specify how the president will be presiding over the funeral. Would it be at the end of the line of body viewers? Will it be at the beginning? Will it be from a helicopter? Will it be at the memorial park? Those things were not highlighted in that press briefing. So in this regard, I think Makebi, anyway, I can just say maybe it's stressful. It must have been a very stressful day.
The matter in court is only a delayment that will serve the good of the country, that serve the good of the family. Can you not endure a year and speak truth to power? Will you not? Can you not?
Makebi, are you telling us this is going to take a year? Ah, Jesus.
Should you not? Ladies and gentlemen, I do not have much to say, except to say the family will stay here and fight. And the fight will be whether the rights of the family can be superseded by public policy that is not law. They have brought an argument.
The right of the family can be superseded by Chizungu. Let's go back. We hear what he just said.
In fact, and the fight will be whether the rights of the family can be superseded by public policy that is not law. They have brought an argument that the Kawaja case and Kaunda should apply to President Edgar. And the argument is that President Kaunda enjoyed all the benefits of the state. President Edgar enjoyed none.
But it was his choice. That's also important to say. And I think it was a brave choice because it was a sacrifice on his part. I think saying that is also honoring him.